So, I guess kicking into it, give me a brief rundown on yourself and who you are, what you do.
My name is Eric Thomas. I'm a Wausau native. I have a gym. I have a partner with Tony Sweeney. We own Newfound Power Gym in Rim Mountain.
Mm-hmm.
And I also do sculptures with my wife, Ecoscapes and Design. So we do steel statues. We did the steel birds. Must have been 10 years ago. Now we're getting into stainless and different mediums like that.
Wow.
That's the gist of it. Those two are the main.
Okay. I guess so. I want to jump all the way back because I know you from the birds, the statues that you do, and
Okay.
some of the work at the Kalahari.
Right.
How'd you get into all this? Like, what was your?
So
I guess what'd you start out doing? What was your first job?
I was a cement mixer for a theming company, National Rock,
Mm-hmm.
and I worked for Andy Coates. So that was when I was 18, long time ago. So then all I did was mix concrete. That's all I did all day. 7 in the morning, 7 at night, mixed concrete. I skipped art class. Never went to art ever. Never tried to do any art whatsoever. So then I was working for this theming company. We were doing Dollywood in Tennessee, and we're doing Kansas City, all the Great Wolf Lodges and all the big, going to Denver, traveling, and I just mixed concrete. And then there was 2 artists that were sick. They usually did the welding and stuff like that, like the trees and stuff. So then my boss is like, hey, you want to try to weld? Can you weld? I said, well, I can weld. And he said, well, try to weld this. And it was a picture of, it was like a waterfall with a tree, and I could just do it. I could look at the picture and just create it.
No shit.
And he's like, you'll never mix concrete again. And he moved me up because I was quick. I could weld fast. And then he moved me up to foreman, and that's all I did was all the welding, all the statues and all the big, at the Kalahari and all over there, like the theming.
So they were the ones that originally had the contract?
Yeah, originally, back then, yep. And then we ended up, so my wife, we were just friends at the time. She would sketch she would do the renderings.
Mm-hmm.
So she was a real artist. She was good. So she would do all the renderings of like the people in the pool and stuff like that, and like the mountains. She would do the drawing of what it's going to be.
Mm-hmm.
So then I'd usually go off that and build that, but did that for a while. And then at Chula Vista, I was working on something. And I remember I did the scratch coated, it's called, put the cement on, carve it, paint it, everything, did the whole tree. Looked at the guy next to me and I was like, I can do this. He was like, yeah, no shit. So then I quit and I started my own company.
No kidding.
Yeah, because that was the thing. I was like, this guy Hobby was just like, you could do this. And I was like, all right. Yeah, so I started Ecoscapes.
Okay.
And then that's how it started. Then I got subcontracted by my old boss, still hired me back through my own company.
No kidding.
Yep. And now we just do our own stuff. But
So what was the process of starting the company? Like, what'd you do? Was it a big thing or just kind of went down, got the LLC, and then just started doing
yeah,
some
pretty
work?
much, yep. LLC, and we had a nice foot in the door because he hired us right away.
Mm-hmm.
But then that was like 2008 when the world kind of ended for a second. So
Yeah.
it was 2007. It was going great, and I was like, man, it took off and then it ended. So it pretty much failed for a little while, but then we just kept going and just trying to figure out different things and get by for a while. But then it started taking off again. It usually does that up and down. The trajectory has been good lately, but.
So what was the hardest part of all that?
What
was the hardest part of growing or starting out your own business?
Just getting out there and trying to talk to everyone. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Getting used to rejection.
Yeah.
Getting used to people. Getting used to selling your statues for nothing. Just to kind of get your name out there and, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
To not be in a position to know you're being taken advantage of or anything. That's the roughest part. When you know you should be charging more for your work or, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That'd probably be the toughest.
What exactly, like, what was the hardest gig? Because your kind of art is different. It's not
Right.
something where you're going out there like, this is a piece I have. You guys are getting commissioned for
Right,
different
yep.
projects. So it's not like I have this creative thing that I could sell for $1.6 million.
Right.
It's somebody comes in, they're like, here's what I want.
Right.
Here's my budget, maybe.
Yep.
Explain that industry and that side of things.
Well, we kind of fell into the steel statue part. That was a little different. You know, I was kind of talking to you about it before. We got approached by Randy down at Evolutions. He asked us to kind of do an art thing for a music festival. Why not Wausau? So that was the first thing we just kind of did where we didn't put concrete on it. So we kind of did the big question mark and didn't think anything of it and donated it, and still nothing happened. So still trying to get the concrete jobs. I started being a personal trainer for a bit, like trying to figure out what we want to do. And then it eventually led to the city actually coming to me, seeing that sign and asking if we could make birds like that. Like steel birds. So the steel birds was actually only our second thing we did.
No kidding.
So that was very new. And I said, yeah, we can do birds. And then I went home to my wife. I'm like, we need to learn how to make a bird now. Because to be honest, we never made a bird. You know what I mean? So I'm like, we got to figure out how to make birds.
Yeah.
But I mean, opportunity, you have to figure it out. That's the one thing. Like, just say yes, figure it out in the, in the time being. And then, so we went in the garage and we started welding and we came up with 2 birds, presented them. And those were the first 2 birds they put out there. And it was approved 100%. And then we got the gig.
No kidding.
Yeah.
That was your second gig, though.
Yep.
That was a big gig.
Yeah.
You want to dive into the controversy?
Yeah, sure.
So, okay, there's a lot of controversy with the birds. What happened? Because I was, like we talked about before we started recording, I was down in Indiana. So I was kind of removed from it. There was a lot of, I came back to hear about it. But you're the man involved. What happened?
I think this is what my theory is.
Okay.
It's kind of hands-on. So my theory was the city wanted us to have 2 birds out there to see what it would look like, to see the heights and different things, to see how the feel of it was. So we did that, put it out there. And then City Pages did a picture of those 2 birds and said, $220,000 for these birds. What do you think, Wausau? And I think people thought I got paid $1.8 million for the 18 birds, which was not the case. It was 1.7, but no, just show
exactly.
No, it wasn't anywhere near that. It was the 220,000.
The Ferrari came that year.
The 220,000 was for the next set of birds, which was 36 birds, and Revi was doing the landscaping and the extra trees and the water system. That was everything included. So it was not for those 2 birds, So it was a big uproar that it was taxpayers' money, a TIF fund. So I guess from
and for people that don't know, explain a TIF fund quick.
I think it's just used for taxpayer. You have to use it for a certain thing for the city. Like taxpayers, it's already in there. And they use that fund to, like, beautification and stuff like that. And
with the TIF funds, there's a lot of times that people will take in. People want to use it for this or want to use it for that. So there turns into a lot of controversy with how the money's used and what it's used for.
How it's dispensed,
So this was just a perfect
disaster. But at that time, I really had nothing. I had nothing to lose. It didn't matter to me. I was excited that I got to do this job. You know what I mean? And I thought they turned out cool. Put all 18 out with my buddy Muck and Brett. Put them all out there. And got home, looked on Facebook, and it was like 520 negative comments. Oh my God. I just started sinking in my chair. I was like, oh man, I thought they were kind of cool. Yeah. And then, but from that, the Daily Herald did a story on us, and then another story, and then another story. So even though it was negative, there were people that liked him that reached out and said, well, can you make me a raven? Can you make me an eagle? Can you make me one of those herons? And from that, it turned into a pretty cool business.
I mean, no publicity is bad publicity
at
the end of the day.
Yeah.
And that's just proof of it, because a lot of people, you see it where guys or businesses will take and they'll say, well, I can't believe somebody said this or somebody did that.
Right.
But what people don't understand is there's 2 sides to every story and every fight and every battle.
Yeah.
This kind of battle was perfect because you've got a lot of people that are saying, you know what, I can't believe that this city would pay this much money. And then you got the other side that's saying, well, I love art, let's do this.
Yeah.
So then you got people, like you said, banging down your door.
And there's people that were actually defending you, which was cool. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
So it'd be like 100 negative and then one person, I like them. I'd be like, nice. I like friend. You know what I mean? Like, it was good. I found a few friends out of that. But Yeah, we did birds forever, where it became like Birdman, Wisconsin, Birdman. You know, we joke about it, and then all of a sudden I was like, I want to do something different. So I made like a deer, like a buck. You know what I mean, with the antlers, and put it outside Evolutions, and it sold like in 2 days.
Really?
Which was crazy. Yeah.
Give me a ballpark for, because I know Evolutions is anything from like $10 all the way up to a few thousand.
Yeah, the deer I wanted to put out just to see, and that was 13,000.
And it sold in 2 days.
2 days. So we made an elk. So that made me ambitious. So I made an elk, and that was for 27, and that one sold. So just kind of from that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just kind of.
Just kept going.
Which it was destined to get to a higher price point, just because you kind of want to make them unattainable. And they kind of are, because it's just my wife and I. So we can't make 400 statues a year for $20. You have to make really nice ones for a bit more, you know.
Because there's two ways you can go in business. I mean, you either go to mass manufacturing somehow,
Right?
Try to get other people on, which destroys the creative vision that you guys have.
Yep.
Or you just have to charge more, supply and demand.
Yep. And that's what we wanted to just do. And we always wanted to do one of a kind. So we did a big willow tree. And then someone else was interested in the same willow tree. And I said, well, we just can't do it. You know, and I kind of kicked myself when I was driving away. I'm like, oh, man, what are you doing? That was our most expensive one. But I'm just like,
and I saw a picture of it before we started, or you showed me a picture before we started recording. To put this in perspective, it was 23 or 26 feet tall.
Yep. Huge.
Like size of a house.
Yep. We try to go like realistic size, you know what I mean? And all the leaves were chains, and that was pretty cool, yeah. That one was really cool. But from that, I left that meeting saying, hey, we only do one of a kind. I appreciate it. But from that, he came back, and he became a friend of ours. He's a good dude. He got a native statue, and then another statue, and then another statue. So it's a good relationship from that, because he appreciated the one of a kind, knowing if we make him a statue, we'll never duplicate that, no matter what. You know what I mean? So we've kind of stuck to our guns on that.
I think that's a good thing.
Thanks, man. Hey, thank you.
If I did, I probably wouldn't tell you. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. You tell me later. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. No, So then the other thing too is you're kind of a serial entrepreneur, or you are a serial entrepreneur.
Yeah.
You jumped from doing this. When did you get into getting involved with the other businesses that you do?
So when we were trying to get Echoscapes going, I was try to do personal training. So I started doing that, and I went to my buddy Brett Rice, went to his house, said, hey, I got this idea. I want to do newfound power personal training. I didn't want to be Eric Thomas training, this person training. I just thought there was like a void for something that it seemed like it was more than it was, that it wasn't just me with no clients and Brett with a few. I wanted to be like, what is this?
Yeah.
And then nothing, you start, every time I start something, you think it's just going to blow up. Takes a bit of time, but I had freedom because I was going back and forth with the statues. And then first person I actually trained was Tony Sweeney, who eventually became a partner in the gym.
Yeah.
He was the first person that came up and said, I'll train with you, and started doing boxing. So from that, just built a relationship and trained his family and his friends, and it just started kind of blowing up that way. But then I ended up having myself and 5 trainers with me, and that became a pretty good business from zero to that. That was pretty good.
That's pretty cool. So I know a little bit because we talked about it.
Yeah.
But what was the progression? Because you started with one gym, grew it to a couple, and then you got out of it and made a different one.
Well, from the personal training was newfound power training, and that turned into NFP gear, which was, we did a full line of supplements, full line of apparel, because we already had the base, our customer base. So we had protein, we had 10 different products, pre-workout, everything. Another huge jump. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I usually do that. I don't know why I do that, but I usually do it when things are going really good with one, and I just try to do another jump, which is supplements. So we did that, and like the same thing, you know, I was happy with the training.
Yep.
But then I went with that, started blowing that up. But before it blew up, it you know, I order all these supplements, get all this stuff. You have like 1,000 supplements, 1,000 of each, so 10,000 supplements, because it's a GMP certified lab, so you got to have at least 1,000. You know, it was.
Oh yeah.
And then we had, man, we must have 40,000 just in apparel. So we had like 5 different hoodies, 20 different shirts, bunch of different. We wanted to go big, get a website built, launch it, and in my mind, it's just gonna take off.
Yeah.
Not crickets.
Really?
You know, it's a website. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm like, well, okay. So I got to figure this out. So then started. My wife was starting to promote the website more, and then I would go to every single bodybuilding event, powerlifting event, boxing in the area, Chicago, Milwaukee, Madison, and even like little home gyms, or not home gyms, but like those little gyms that have like 20 members. I would set up a table and just start talking to people and meeting people. And all of a sudden that started growing organically. That was pretty cool. So then our website, actually, we started getting orders from like California, Texas, all over.
Yeah.
Started doing the sponsored athletes, you know, brought on some pretty good names, went to the Arnold, started doing that. So it was pretty cool.
No kidding.
Yeah, it was pretty exciting.
So I got to touch on a point that you said. When you said the website, I think that's a huge misconception with a lot of people.
Yeah.
Because I'm surprised how many people come to me and say, you know what, Tony, we need a website.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, build a website. I'm like, well, we're getting no traffic to it. I'm like,
Yeah.
it's like building a house or building a fast food restaurant somewhere and then just not putting a sign out.
Yeah. Or yeah, with nothing around it, and then put it in the middle of nowhere.
Exactly.
Where no one will ever see it for no reason.
Exactly.
You could hide in the woods and be like, what's going on?
Oh, you're right.
Yeah, but
No, but
that was a learning curve, definitely.
how long did it take you to catch on?
It was probably a year.
Okay.
Probably a good year for the website.
Mm-hmm.
But we did a lot of sales, man, like just at those booths.
Mm-hmm.
We did, you know, we'd go down to do big powerlifting shows and stuff, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And people would buy the shirts and buy the supplements and buy it. So it was pretty cool.
So to clarify, were you guys white labeling supplements or was that just...
No, that was our own kind of thing.
You guys started your own... Wow.
So, yeah.
What was the process like for that?
Man, we hired 2 scientists. We went through, probably talked to like 23 labs. You know what I mean? Like it was like a lot to find the right fit. You know what I mean? Just how you were kind of talking about some of your ideas that you got to find the right fit of like who does it and get samples and are they good or are they not? And then find the ones that work. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you can kind of go off, like if you really like this pre-workout, you can kind of go off of their kind of what they have, but then kind of tweak it and do different stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not that too crazy. And what I learned too is there's about 3 giant manufacturers that do supplements in the United States.
No kidding.
And everyone thinks they're like, this is, you know, C-bombs, and no one has this. And it's like he's probably, you know what I mean? They're probably making On Nutrition, all these different huge companies are at the same place.
Oh, big time.
You know what I mean?
It's insane. Most of the industries are run by just a few people.
Right. Yeah.
And people don't catch on to that.
Yeah.
So did you guys face any backlash
From
any of the bigger companies when you guys started to get a name for yourselves?
Oh, no. Not really.
Okay.
No, our main competition when we started growing was Animal. They were pretty big.
Okay.
But I mean, we did sponsor their main guy, and then I did set up the Arnold booth right across from them. And
my God.
So I mean, but that's fair.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's nothing. Like, you know what I mean? That's business. That wasn't anything devious. It was just, you know what I mean? But
It's having some fun with it. Come on.
Yeah. I mean, giant company can handle it.
So it took you guys a little while to grow. What'd you guys do with the company?
So we grew it and grew it and grew it, and it did hit a lull for a little bit because my training was taking off so much. So I always had to be there. I had a personal trainer from like 6 in the morning till 8 at night, but it was awesome. But financially, that with the other trainers, like, I mean, from personal training, what I was making a year was, I've never made that in my life back then. It was like, I went from, I started with zero, zero, probably below zero. But then, a buddy of mine, Ben Reif, who owns Wausau Coated.
Yep.
So he was just working out at the gym I was at the time. And I said, hey, man, I'd like to, pick your brain on some stuff. And you know what I mean? And I'm just a trainer. You know what I mean? And he was like, well, let's go get a burrito. And we'll talk about it, which was cool. I mean, I don't even know what they make a year, 100 million. I don't know what they make it.
They're huge.
But for him to say, hey, sure. You know what I mean? And then the one thing I think that's good is I don't know everything, and I'm willing to just sit and learn and then listen to whatever someone has to say that is doing it.
Yeah.
Where some people, you ever run into someone and you're like, hey, you should start that. I know. Oh, hey, well, yeah. And then you're like, hey, man, I'm trying to help you, and I know this space.
Yeah.
So we had a few burritos, and then his idea was, at the time it was kind of crazy, but he said, okay, where are you spending all your time? I said, well, I need help with NFB gear because it was going for a while and hit a lull. He said, well, what do you, where you spend all your time? I said, training. He said, quit. And I was like, man, I never made this much money in my life. At that time, I was so happy. And he's like, well, you're comfortable. He's like, you got to quit training. You got to take all your time and put it into NFP gear, because if you break your leg or something bad happens, you're done. Personal training business is over. You have to do something where you can grow it and sell it.
Yeah.
So I quit. It was a week later. I told all my clients, thank you so much. I appreciate it. And I gave them to a friend of mine, a trainer, and I gave him all my people. I said, you're in good hands. And then I just quit, and I just went straight to zero and started. And then that made me get on the phone, go after emails, go to every show, get back on FP gear, and it blew up, way up, and then we ended up selling it.
Nice.
Yeah.
So when you gave away all the clients, how did it feel to jump back to zero? Like jumping in a cold lake?
Kind of exciting, though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I was comfortable. You know what I mean?
Oh, totally.
And then I don't want to be a 60-year-old trainer. I mean, you know what I mean? Oh. Nothing wrong with that. 60-year-old trainers are the coolest.
Yeah, exactly.
But you know what I mean? But it's like I just didn't want to do that. So then, it was kind of nerve-wracking, but it was just whatever, man.
Yeah, but it's
just a
fun.
challenge. Yeah, it's exciting.
Because I know when I went down to Indiana, I didn't have any money. I literally sold the guitar.
Yeah.
And I got $700 in my pocket.
Nice.
I didn't have an apartment.
Yeah.
I got the job a week prior. I was sicker than a dog for 3-4 days.
Yeah.
I had to be there Monday morning at 7, 8 a.m. I had to be there Monday morning at 8 a.m. in a different time zone.
Right.
8 hours away.
Right.
I hopped in the car Sunday afternoon, went down there after sleeping for 3 days.
Yeah.
Got there, slept in my car. I woke up at like 5 in the morning to an Amber Alert. I'm like, shit, where the hell did I move to, And I moved down there. It was a crazy place, but it was exciting.
Yeah.
And the best part, because everyone was telling me, they're like, man, living in your car, wasn't it bad? I'm like, not really. I said, I just park wherever I want, take a nap. I said, I don't really need anything.
And there's something freeing about that.
Oh, completely.
You know what I mean? And it makes you grateful for everything that comes after it.
It's fun.
It'd be nice for I don't know, I'd wish that upon people to start at zero and then build, because then you appreciate and you know how to treat people and act a certain way.
Oh yeah, there's a zest for life too.
Yeah.
You aren't paying for a bunch of subscriptions or BS you don't need. It's just like you said, it's free.
Yeah, it's freeing.
Yeah. No, I agree with that.
Yeah.
So you sell the company, and how was the sale of the company? Did somebody approach you?
Yeah. Yep. So, wasn't that exciting? Just sold. I don't know. And we also had a meal business too. A meal business that also was kind of the same kind of like a meal prep thing. We had that same thing kind of going. That was about at the same kind of time as that.
So did that one take off?
Huh?
Did that one take off?
Yeah, that did pretty good. Yep. And that was inside one of the gyms we had it, because I just think if you're trying to start a business, and a lot of people know this, you try to find a void. And in Wausau, there was no meal prep. There was no healthy meals, healthy shakes, healthy, So we kind of went off that. Already had the gyms existing, so kind of just went right in with that.
How many gyms did you guys have at the time?
4.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, do you want to talk about getting out of the gyms?
Sure.
Okay.
Well, I mean, it's yeah, sure.
Okay, so at the time you're a co-owner in 4 gyms.
Yeah, and there's quite a few owners.
Yeah.
So there was at first there was 3 owners, and then there was 5, and then there was a lot. You know what I mean? There was a lot of chiefs, and then so that was the kind of frustrating where you couldn't really utilize your ideas, or it would fall on deaf ears, or it would be outvoted, or you really couldn't bring your ideas to the table.
How did you guys get that many people in there? That many owners in on it?
I don't know. That's a good question. There was people that wanted to be involved, like trainers that wanted to be a part of it, ownerships, and we grew fast. When we started it, it was kind of cool how we started. We started on Grand Avenue, and we had a gym on one side and then a CrossFit gym on the other.
Okay.
And at the time, CrossFit wasn't that well known around here, but it also was like $250 a month or something. And you could only CrossFit or do these classes from like 9 to 10, 1 to 2, right?
Yeah.
So our idea was to take it, okay, it's 24/7. You can do CrossFit whenever you want, and it's $49.99. And so, the other CrossFit gyms were super happy with us. So I think it was within a few years, there were no CrossFit gyms. There was just our CrossFit gym and then, that gym over there. So then we ended up just expanding. We bought a Snap Fitness. It was kind of buying out competition. Then there was a building I always wanted that was in Rib Mountain, which is the best location ever. I got that one. And it just started growing like that. But then you get too many people involved, you know what I mean?
Too many cooks in the kitchen.
Yeah. And I had an opportunity to step away and just do my own thing with Tony. And so that was it. And that's the one I always wanted. That building would sit vacant, and I just had my NFP trailer. That was a trailer. We took all the supplements, and I parked it there. And it was there years before any of the other gyms even started.
Huh.
Kind of visioning. That's what I, eventually wanted. So that's it, man.
I mean, it works, though, because the hard part, though, is a lot of people have a business idea. You see this with a lot of the big examples like Apple or Microsoft, where somebody gets screwed over and then it's a whole disaster. A lot of people really don't think about how it is going into business with other people.
Right.
Because you've got the experience with that and you're still in business with people.
Right.
But how did your views change, or how did everything change after that? Because you come out of that experience.
Oh, you just learn a ton. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And get with the right people. That's a giant, huge difference.
How do you find the right people?
Time. You know what I mean? Like Tony, I've known him forever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Honest, good dude. So it's like, that was a no-brainer. You know what I mean? And we both wanted the same thing, and you know what I mean? And since we got that, you know what I mean? And a lot of people came back, like a lot of our trainers, a lot of people run the classes, people were coming back once we got our hands on it. And I think we probably close to doubled revenue since getting that. And we just got it 6 months ago.
Wow.
So it is, it's pretty good vibe there. And it is, in like revenue, and obviously in a business you need that, but it does, everyone says it too. It's like, do what you love. And I love that. So I don't think of it as work. I don't think of it as anything, I don't mind. It is nice talking to everyone and being around it. And even when you don't have to be there, go there. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's just like with the statues with, my wife Faith and I, it's like, we love making them. You know what I mean? Like, it's awesome. It's something cool. And then it's not work. You can work. She'll work sometimes, till midnight, 2 a.m, just when she's really into it. And she's welding now, so she's impressive. She is. Like I used to do the welding, and then she would kind of put the pieces where they go and kind of help? Well, that doesn't look right. And then she's like, well, I kind of want to learn how to weld. And then I kind of just welded myself or she out of a job, you know, because I mean, I still do the welding. Like I made the willow tree and stuff, but the real you can tell her statues got way more artistic, and that's her. That's her touch. She's
don't get on her bad side.
No, I'm super sweet to her.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Oh man. So okay, so you jump into all these businesses. What was the hardest part of all of it? Because you've had a successful career doing a lot of different things.
Yeah.
And you've had a lot of luck. Good luck. I'd
say.
say.
I think so. But the toughest part is just not quitting. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Where you should quit and everyone's telling you to stop and you just keep going and figure it out and problem solve. Mm-hmm. And then everything can be successful if you just keep going. That's what I think. Mm-hmm. Like if me and you were in a business trying to sell that doorknob.
Yeah.
And we're like, hey, we're trying to sell this doorknob. You want this? And everyone's like, you should quit. Don't sell doorknobs. I think you and I could find a way to make it successful over time if you knock at enough doors to make it take off.
Did you ever bring on a mentor or a consultant or anything at the time? Or just kind of the school of hard knocks?
I was fortunate in some of the people I trained, you know, like John DeLego. He helped me with a ton of stuff. Read these 4 books. Mm-hmm. Read this, you know. Yeah. Do this, and you know I don't know. He was really good.
Nice.
But I mean, it was also like Tony was good guidance. Ben. It was more of people that just kind of help you out along the way.
Yeah.
You know, I could name 20 people that were. It was more of just people that were hands on that I was lucky enough to know.
And like you said, you were open minded enough that. A lot of people will say they want to know everything or things like that. One of the things I love is there's so many different people in my life that I get to call upon. Like when I'm pretty good at phone sales because I've made over 30,000 calls in just the last few years. So like,
I used to do. How do you love that when you're like, hi, this is Click.
Yeah,
hello, Click. Hey, you got any time today, Click?
Yeah, exactly.
And then you just start saying random shit.
Oh my gosh.
Just so they don't just say anything so you don't hang up, but it just click, click, click.
Oh, bro, some of the calls, like I had one dude claim he was an archangel.
Oh, nice.
And he was serious. My favorite one though, and I got.
What were you selling?
I was selling like recording equipment, like studios, building studios, and like down to guitars.
Did you sell the angel a speaker or not?
Oh, I sold him a mixer. Yeah.
Hey, you know in heaven that you.
Yeah, exactly. It's a fast track to heaven right here. You get the Behringer X32.
Ambition.
You should have seen there were some crazy people, man. But I think the cool thing is like you said, though, you grab people that can help you with things. Because that was one of the things that I was very eager about is, like, for instance, when I was doing this, we were hit with supply chain stuff from COVID. So the supply chain was shut down. Prior to that, I used to grow businesses and work with businesses. So I was kind of dealing with supply chain stuff. But I was like, how do we get around this? Like, because I'm selling to the end user, but at the end of the day, if the end user has problems with it because it's a faulty shipment or anything else like that, it's not my problem.
Right.
So I sat down with one of the reps, and I said, listen, I'd love to buy you lunch when you've got time, when you're going to be here. And he's like, yeah. So I sat down with him. I said, I want you to walk me through what is going on with the supply chain thing. Explain the manufacturing process to me. He walked me right through it, and I remember my last week there, he happened to be there, and I walked up, I said, hey, I'm quitting. He's like, you know, I kind of guessed that from our conversation we had. But no, you're right. And if people don't take advice from people, there's always someone smarter than you, and if you find that you're smarter than them, then find somebody else.
Yeah, correct. And you were willing to just do it. Not a lot of people are willing to do what you did. Hey, will you talk to me? Or like, hey, hi, or even any of that. And if you're willing to do that, usually people that are at a certain level love talking about it and love that you asked and want to talk about it. You know what I mean? So it works. And they want to help you do good. Like if you have it, they'll want to help you with it.
Totally.
I think.
I mean, a lot of people, if you were to walk and do, like you said, some of the businesses you mentioned are super successful. And if you were to take and just walk in there and say, listen, I'd love to take the owner out to lunch. I've got some questions in my business. I'm struggling. most of them would say yes.
Yeah, right. Yep.
You'd be hard pressed to find somebody that's like, screw you, man.
Yeah. I'm sure they're there.
Exactly.
I'm sure they're out there, but I haven't ran into them
We're
yet.
going to go find them this week.
Yeah, right.
Oh my gosh. I don't know. I think starting a business is not that hard. And I say this on almost every podcast because I think it's true with some people, because I had the opportunity to work in a factory.
Yeah.
Because I was beaten down. I was burnt out. And I'm like, okay. So I did that. And when I was working it, I was already doing stuff on the side, and
right.
I was pretty successful with it, but I was just like, I was beaten down, man.
Yeah.
And I went to the factory, and I had one guy walk up to me, and he's like, he's like, they all talk about you here. Oh, okay. Yeah, they say you're a bad factory worker. Oh. I heard that, and I'm like,
might be a compliment.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, oh, shucks.
Yeah.
And then I'm thinking about it, I'm like, I'm a bad factory worker? Like, I'd put that on the bottom of a business card. You know?
Yeah, right.
But no, a lot of these guys like to have dreams that they just keep up on the shelf. Right. And they like the idea of the dream better than they do the failures or the successes.
Right. Yeah, you got to be willing to fail 100%. You know what I mean? Just have zero fear of it. And like the gyms I was in failed how many times, the Echoscapes failed how many times, training, everything failed. Yeah. And you just keep going.
How'd you keep going? I know
it's been said, just keep going, man. And just try harder and wake up earlier and figure it out and ask. And, people have done it before, and just try something different and just keep moving.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? As soon as you're like, and also I always had a positive outlook, like it's going to be good. And no matter, just keep going. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I will be able to, this statue will get to this price point, and I will get over here, and it doesn't stop.
Yeah.
Like, I want to open a gym in Vegas. I'm going to open one in 4 years. You know what I mean? And it's just going to happen. And I'm going to figure out how to get there. And people say, oh, Vegas is saturated. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you find the right thing, you can figure it out. So I started trying to figure that out. And I also, at the same time, want my statues out there. Statues in Utah or, Vail or, out that way. And just got to do it. Figure out a way to get out there.
How do you go about setting your goals? Because you clearly have a lot of goals.
Yeah, just where I want to end up and what I want to do.
Do you write them down?
You know what I mean? No.
Just kind of keep them up there and okay.
Give them in my head and just keep going. And like my son's in basketball right now, and he's at East High School, so I don't want to do anything. I don't want to leave until he's graduated. So I have some opportunities now with like Kalahari doing big grottos and stuff like that. And I'm just like, okay, I just want to, dip my foot in a bit, but I don't want to travel too much.
Yeah.
So I just kind of, because the theming would be big out that way too. I would get back into the theming when he graduates.
Okay.
Yeah, because I have 3 kids, but they all graduated.
So
Livy, Haley, Mick. Proud of them. Good kids.
So how old were your kids when you first kind of jumped away and started doing your own stuff?
They were young, maybe 2. So they've always known me as...
Wow.
Which I love because I was there every day. So also with, working hard as an entrepreneur, you also have the freedom to never miss a basketball game, never miss a game, never miss anything. You can be there for everything, which I like. That's a big deal. That's probably my number 1 priority.
That's good, because a lot of people, the song Cats in the Cradle by Harry Chapin?
Oh, yeah.
Perfect example.
Yeah, perfect example. Yeah, my brother sends me that every time I don't go visit him.
I don't know. My dad will send it to me whenever I'm like, hey, Dad, I'm a little busy right now. And he'll just text me, when you coming home, Dad? I don't know when. I'm like, screw you.
I know we'll have a good time then, though.
Yeah, exactly.
That's funny.
No, I think it's cool. I was excited to do this because I guess one thing I want to stress too, because nobody's perfect. Right. What would you say is your biggest thing you're still working on? What's your biggest fault that you're still like, I'm working on this every day?
Trying to have 25 companies.
Holy
just
crap.
No, I'm just saying simplify. I'm saying I don't, you know what I mean? I just, and I have been simple. Like we sold the meal business, we sold the supplement business. And we're finding our niche in the in the statues. You know, we're doing some stainless now, working with another company. Like, we're kind of just simplifying in a way, you know what I mean? And just kind of getting what we really want to do. So we do, you know, some real estate stuff, some stuff like that, but it's like more of like just getting your sell kind of everything and just kind of get to your goals. Focus on that one gym here and then expand in, you know, 4 years, but have just that one and that one, but just make them awesome, you know.
So let me ask you, because one of the things I struggle with is I see the opportunities and I just kind of jump to them.
Yeah.
It's like, it's dangerous.
Yeah.
How do you keep yourself on track as a serial entrepreneur? Because I freaking suck at it.
I have the same problem. Because I just end up not doing it. But I do, my first instinct is, I'll do that.
Yeah.
Hey, you know, here's a chance to do this. I'll do it. You know, and sometimes it works out. It's funny, a year ago I did it. So it was like, my old boss, who I used to work for in Asher Rock, he got a hold of me and said, "You want this job in Iowa?" You know, and nothing was going on with the sports or anything. So I'm like, okay. And he said, well, they can't find anyone to do it, and they need to theme a whole water park. It was an outdoor water park. So I'm like, yeah, let me call them. So I called. They said, well, can you be down here tomorrow? I said, yeah, I'll come down. And I drive down 6.5 hours. They said, well, can you give us a bid in 2 days? Sure. You know, gave my bid, which and they said, okay, can you start in 2 weeks? Absolutely. And but themed a whole water park. Last year, it was like 2 months, 2.5 months, and just knocked it out and done. But that's like what you're saying. My first instinct is, that just snowballed super fast. But if I have a little more time, I'll probably not do it. You know what I mean? Because there is a lot going on.
Yeah.
But yeah, probably with you on that one.
Okay. Because nice to see I'm not the only one.
No, you're right.
Because the hard part is you've got a unique eye, and that's one of the things that I've seen in our conversation is you're able to identify a hole in the market where a lot of people have a great idea and they're like, well, we're just going to do this and keep pushing uphill.
Right.
You're like, there's this path right over here that nobody's taking.
Yep.
Let's do it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think too many people also, I don't know. Man.
What are you thinking?
Not everything's the greatest idea.
True.
But it's tough to like, you know, you don't want to talk anyone out of anything because maybe they're willing to make it work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you want to be encouraging, but sometimes you got to be like,
Yeah, but the hard part with that
make them think, I guess. Make them think about
nobody. If nobody tells them no, it's kind of like little Johnny wants to go sell sticks on the side of the road.
Right. Yeah.
Maybe it's like, Johnny, you could sell ice cubes or something and make a little more money.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, that factory work. That's funny what you said when they said that you don't belong here. Because I tried. So when things were going real bad, it was right before. It was like right when I started the training. Things were going bad, and I'm like, I need to do something. So I tried to get a job at like craft factory.
Yeah.
And they didn't hire me, and I was so pissed. And, you know what I mean? I was like. They said, well, we just don't think this is for you. And I said, I will work circles around these people. I will work harder than anyone.
Yeah.
And they said, we know. That's why we think you're in the wrong spot. We think that you'll do something else. And it was like, so I took that as, okay, calm down a bit. And 2 weeks later, I got a call from Chicago about this big grotto I wanted for a long time that the guy, I thought he forgot about me 9 months ago. And he ended up getting a hold of me and said, when can you start? I said, I'll be down, man. So it was actually, I would have quit. Yeah. I would have quit in 2 weeks. But I don't know, whatever.
So what's the worst job you've ever had?
Oh, man. I don't know. When I was 16, my dad said I had to get a job. Otherwise, I couldn't drive. So then I ran to McDonald's and I got a job. They hired me on the spot. And then it was the day I had to go in, I scrambled because I didn't want to work. Nothing wrong with McDonald's.
Yeah.
I didn't want to work there at the time. So I scrambled and got a job at the ski hill. And so I would say my worst job was almost working for McDonald's.
No kidding.
But I don't think I had a bad job. I'm pretty happy with I don't think I had a bad job.
Okay.
I was lucky enough. I worked at the ski hill as a chairlift operator. I was really proud of that.
Nice.
A lot of laughs. And then I worked, even mixing concrete I liked. I didn't, you know what I mean? Lucky in that sense that I think if I didn't like anything, and that's what I think you kind of touch on this a bit. If someone doesn't like something, just go do something else. Do what you want.
Yeah.
Because life it's fast. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I know everyone says that, but it's like when people say to me, "Oh, I don't really like quit." Mm-hmm. Do something else immediately. Because you're just going to be saying you want to quit in a year, 2 years, 3 years. Just do what you like or something else. I couldn't imagine doing something every day that I didn't like.
Yeah.
But
the hard part is people get so blinded. And that's one of the things I see with one of the people that I'm talking to right now, one of my prospects. They're so blinded by the workload that they do have that they don't even see wake up and smell the roses. As soon as they get away from the business, it happens with a lot of people. They start to actually, well, I could do this or I could do that. But then even working somewhere, a lot of people, the hard part is there's a lot of uncertainty.
Yeah.
But what I like to tell people is like, how uncertain is it working a job where can you get fired for something you did, something you didn't do, something somebody else did?
Right.
Could the place close down?
Yeah.
And next thing you know, you're out on your butt.
Yeah.
It's easy. I mean, for instance, like if you're making $2,000 a month, which is enough to barely live on,
right,
for most people in most areas, you could take and make that doing a variety of different things.
Right.
If you wanted to do paintings, and just sell small paintings as a small artist and sell them for $100 and $200 a piece, instead of working 40 hours a week doing pulling the lever.
Even if you can't paint that good, you can find someone to buy them with enough, if you go after it and try to get in your market. And I think a lot of the time people just get drained from their regular job or don't want to take that step or aren't willing to go to zero. But like if you're like you said, I was living in my car, man, I was happy. I mean, sold my $700, but like that's like you got to have that, like you're willing to go to zero, you'll be fine, pick up the pieces, start over, because it is fine. I think.
Yeah.
That's why I just don't have zero fear of failing, I guess, because it's also in your hands. So if you fail, it is your fault. If you succeed, it's your fault. You can't have if you don't go do it, then nothing. You're just gonna fail.
Yeah.
If you're just chilling, you know what I mean? Like it's motivating, but then like you said, $2,000 a month. If you did that, say you're like you said, pulling a lever, whatever. But if you work for super hard a half day, you can make that.
Yeah.
So think of that on your own. You know what I mean? So it's like, okay, that should motivate you. Then work 2 days really hard.
Yeah.
Or I don't know.
It just isn't that hard, and I think a lot of people, I don't know. I look at even when I first was like out on my butt after quitting. When I got my first couple gigs, it's like, okay, this isn't bad. And it's like if I need to take a week off for whatever reason, I just do that. Like what was
which you have to, which is nice.
Yeah.
And you don't feel guilty, and you don't feel, and you just need that.
100%.
But it's deserved because you're going for it. You know what I mean? I think it's worth it.
And what I think is worth it for people too is grab a $100, $200 flight, go somewhere, get your perspective,
100%.
Come back. Because I mean, a lot of people look at traveling as such a big thing. If you've got a buddy in another state, grab a cheap plane ticket 2 hours away.
Yeah.
Go out there, just throw yourself in a completely different state.
Yeah.
Oh.
Just go.
Exactly.
I always wanted to go to Florida. Go.
Yeah.
It's actually pretty. You could probably drive there. It's pretty close.
When I was working at Jerry's, Tim actually, he hopped in his Mustang, and he went down to, I forget where it was. He's like, I just felt like going, so he just hopped in.
Good for him.
On the weekend, he just went down to Texas or something. Came back. Yeah.
It's nice.
It is. But, well, I guess, what would you, just to close this out, what advice would you give to somebody that's just getting off the ground or somebody that's seeing this and has aspirations of starting?
Start.
Yeah.
Absolutely start. Figure out how to get an LLC. Start. put $50 in the account and start, and then just find out people that have done it before or in that world, or people that are successful. Just start talking to them and ask for guidance and figure out how to do it. But I would just start moving, because that's all it really is, I think. You start and then work as hard as humanly possible, and then don't make excuses and just go after it.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
I agree.
Because it's not too many secrets. You know what I mean? It comes down 90% hard work. There's some luck in there, but I mean, but there's also, you create your own luck. If you go and talk to all these different people and you're doing that, it's not, I got lucky that I got to, talk to Tony or talk to Ben but I went up to him and I asked, and you know what I mean? And it was lucky that they helped me, but it's just like, you just have to be willing to do it.
I agree.
That's what I think.
I'm excited to see. I think with the way things are changing, because we've been in a recession for the last year.
Yeah.
I think when people get their heads above water, I do think there's going to be a lot of opportunity out there. And if people don't capitalize on it right now, I talk to a lot of businesses about this because I do it for a living. I think if somebody waits another 2 months to do this, I think they will have missed the boat.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I don't know. Don't be afraid to go to zero, man. Don't be afraid. Quit your day job.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, totally. You know what I mean? I hate to say it. People are like, the guy said quit your day job. But I mean, it's just like, just start and be. And a buddy of mine used to say, there's nothing like have to. Because if you have to, then you're going to work so hard. If you put yourself in a spot where, you know what I mean?
Yep.
If you get out of that comfort zone, and that's usually what a day job is comfort. I mean, if you're a part of the NFP team, don't quit your day job. I mean, but we're a team.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's a good environment, though. And if you do own a business or something, try to create a good environment, a team aspect. And we got a good team over there. It's pretty cool. All the people working there, and pretty exciting.
And if you like what you do, there's nothing wrong with sticking with it.
Right.
But if there's a part of you that doesn't, get the hell out.
Right. Yep.
I mean, because it's not a sin to work a job if it's something that you truly you enjoy. You're an accountant. You like sitting there every day, and you're like, you know what? I find so much fulfillment in this.
Yeah.
Do it. But if you're somebody that's always got that thing in the back of your head.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, if you do like your job and you enjoy your life and that's what you want to do, but if there's that pull and you're miserable, and just go. Because it's really, you can always do that again. Yeah. Whatever job, you can always say, hey, I was kidding. I didn't quit. I was joking around.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, just go in and play it cool. You'll get your job back.
Man, I remember when I left one of my jobs, he was like, if you ever want the job back, just let us know.
Oh, there you go.
I heard that, and I was like, I'm working even harder.
Yeah.
It was not worth it.
Yeah. To never go back. At least you did, though, something that you knew you didn't fit in there, and you didn't want to do that.
Yeah.
You knew there was more out there, so at least you went through it, and you're like, that can be motivating, too. Like, I don't want to do this. But.
So what's on your bucket list yet to do?
Gym in Vegas, big theming, water parks, maybe the future Kalaharis or the 4 year, after the 4 years. Just make sure my kids are good and happy wherever they are, and then just go from there. And to get my statues, I want to get my statues out in like the Utah area, and just, I don't know. That's what I want to do.
Good for you.
Gym out there, sit out in the sun, and work super hard.
And pull the slot to the grocery store.
Huh?
And pull the slot to the grocery store.
Yeah, I'm a blackjack guy, but and poker and stuff. I like that stuff.
No kidding.
But it's, I just always like that. My wife and we always go out there. I just like that vibe,
Yeah.
And I just think for what we do, it fits out there. And we obviously be here with the gym. We do like a 6-6 or 6 months here, 6 there or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'd keep the same partner in the gyms here, same thing.
So how did you, I guess one other thing I wanted to ask you about is how did you guys divvy up responsibilities? Because one of the hard things for a lot of people is switching between like the personal and the business. How did you navigate that and how did you guys go about it?
With like the new gym,
yeah.
Like you're saying? We just share it 50-50. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like we just, and that's a good partner to have where you know what I mean? I have some strong points, he has some strong points, and then we just do those.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so it's pretty much go after your strong points. We work exactly the same amount. You know what I mean? Just as hard. You know what I mean? There's no one slacking off. It's like we both go after it. And if you have that, that's good. You know,
because I know resentment can harbor a lot of times, especially in a 50-50 partnership.
Yeah.
I grew up, having grown up with the life I had with the mother she worked with a lot of businesses when they got to the point of a 50-50 partnership, and then Bobby hates Billy.
Right.
And then it just totally goes up in flames. I very rarely do I see him work. And in your guys' case, it's worked very well.
Yeah. And a big part is communication. And everyone says, yeah, communication, but it is.
Yeah.
And then you don't get it's when you don't say what you want to say and you get more mad and more mad and more mad and more mad, and then you blow up.
Yeah.
When you just say, hey, could you handle this? Or, hey, could you handle this? I'm going to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just communicate. But
it's like a marriage.
Yeah, it is like a marriage.
You guys ever
And then
had any
sometimes
blow-ups?
we'll cry and I'll say, I can't do this without you. And he says, I couldn't have done it without you. And then we hug and it's fine.
Kiss makeup going hard.
No kisses. No kisses.
Oh my gosh.
No, but it's, it's a team. But that's the same. Yeah, marriage is kisses. But
yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Ooh.
Hey, big time.
After this podcast,
Oh,
the
dude.
exclusive.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. No, I think it's cool because that's one of the things is a lot of people, and the hard part I think with a lot of businesses nowadays, especially like the younger guys, they look at like Andrew Tate or other people, and I think there's some great stuff that they preach, but I think some of it is you got to like fight everybody and fight the world. And it's like you get out in the real world and you realize, no, it's easier just to work with people.
Work with people, build relationships. That kind of confidence comes from super success. Like, when who you're talking, like when you get to that level, then you're almost going above and beyond because, but then you got to look at those guys too. They got people picking at them constantly. So they have the defense. So over, you know what I mean? Just to like, to say whatever. Yeah, it's a different world, but I like the confidence is awesome, man.
Oh, I agree. I think the confidence is great.
Yeah.
I look at a lot of this stuff and when I walk into a business and I see the guys are like, I heard this and I got to do this. And I'm like, you're not getting any money from it. Quit it. They're like, but so-and-so told me to do this.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay. But no, I agree with you. I think the confidence is a big thing. And I think it's something that needs to come back for a lot of guys in particular.
Yeah. 100%.
But I just think some of it is, like you said, it's for a different ball game. Like I was at the RNC, the Republican National Convention, because I do some work in politics, so I was able to go out there. And I remember when I got there, I walked up to the bar because we were in this restaurant, high end. It was like $200 for a meal,
Yeah.
And when I walked into the bar, because I'm like, you know what, I'll go grab a drink, talk to some people. I know some prominent people. I work with some prominent businesses. But it's a whole other thing when you start dealing with the billions numbers.
Yeah, right.
And that was in there, and you could tell there was a different demeanor, change in the atmosphere. Like the air was just, it's not like, oh, it's rich people. It's just, it's a different way of doing things.
Right.
And when you're at this level, under 100 million, you're doing more. You're working with people.
Right.
Partnerships, relationships matter. If you have for instance, you're working with the Kalaharis.
Yeah.
How did you foster that relationship? Relationships like that.
Relationship came from my old boss is really in with them. Mm-hmm. Andy Coates and Todd Nelson are good friends. So then he did a lot of work with them, and then I met through him.
Okay.
So to be honest, that would be where that would come from.
Mm-hmm.
But that guy is so down to earth, the owner of the Kalahari.
No kidding.
He's probably worth $400 million. something like that.
Huh.
And he started, I remember, because we were just starting, we were doing like the wilderness and stuff in Kalahari. He owned a little brothers-in-law or something. It was like a little club and then pizza pub. And then so he put those up to try to build this Kalahari. And it was like not going to make it. He had to use like 10 banks. It was going to go bankrupt. He just kept pushing it. His story is pretty awesome. And then he just kept going and going and going. And I remember it finally took off for him, and everyone was pumped for him because we'd be working at like 10 at night, putting the trees up in his indoor water park, and he'd come and bring his pizza. You have to do that.
That's awesome.
And that's real, and so we go there probably 2 times a year. Me and my family, we all go swimming, and he'll walk up, and I'll be like, "Hey, man," and my son's like, "Who is that?" I said, "He owns it." And he, he just walks around. He's just walking around and talking to everyone and making sure. That's pretty cool, man.
Yeah.
He's got one in Texas. They're building one right now in Virginia. That's what I think we're doing. The grotto and the Virginia one, and then the Dells is expanding.
Yeah.
Like 150,000 square foot or something. We're doing the grotto for that. But my old boss, he makes all the concrete animals. Mm-hmm. So he's got 54 he's making for him right now.
Wow.
Yeah, and then he did all the ones for the San Diego Zoo. So Andy Cults, I gotta give him props because he brought me in the theming thing and gave me a chance to weld this. So if he doesn't do that, I'm still mixing concrete, just happy. But mixing I would probably be still chilling, but probably not. But
so where is that piece that you originally, like the first piece you did?
Oh man, that would have been in Lake Geneva.
Okay.
It was like the old Playboy Mansion. They turned it into like a indoor water park or something.
Huh.
Yeah, down Lake Geneva, that was it.
Imagine that.
Yeah, it was cool. I'm glad I did, because I love doing that, like welding mountains. And then Dollywood was really cool. We did like 140-foot across waterfall, cascading.
No kidding.
That was really cool, yeah.
So what's your favorite project or coolest project you've had the privilege of doing?
Dollywood was fun. That was probably, with the theming, Dollywood was fun. But then the willow tree was probably my favorite. But, the Buffalo Hunter was pretty cool. But my wife did a lot of that one. So that was a team effort. But the willow tree I got pride in that. That was pretty cool.
That is a sweet looking thing.
Thanks, man.
It's huge. It's got chains hanging all over it.
Yeah. Yeah, and so Buckmans are the one that got it. They got that tree, a woman feeding a deer, a woman coming out of the woods, 3 eagles, a wolf, a mountain lion, like a collection. It's really cool.
No kidding.
Yeah. Good friends.
So. Nice. Well, awesome. Well,
exciting.
I appreciate you.
Hey, man.
The time,
Thanks
Eric.
for having me.